My God, was this hilarious. There's so much drama to this guy. This was fantastic. I just realized that it would have been great to put decent order. That is literally just being a girl. Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Hello dog! Welcome back to you too! So as you can see, I have a huge pile of books right in front of me, and that is simply because I read 16 books in April. Reading slump no more! Anyway, if you're new here, my name is Maria, or X Living Through Pages X, and I chat about books quite a lot. And if you are into books, you're very welcome here. If you're not into books, you're also very welcome here. It might be slightly more relevant to you if you do read, because that's all I yap about. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the books that I've gone through this month. Let's get to it, shall we? So first and foremost, I read The Someday Garden by Ashley Poston. I did receive this arc on NetGalley, which a big fan. I quite enjoyed it actually. I gave it four and a half, I think. Quite a lot. We're following Sophie, who takes a job restoring a garden in a magical coastal estate that she visited 10 years prior with her best friend. And in here, she's discovering this hidden shifting door. And this door leads to another mysterious element, to a mysterious garden that has actually trapped a man. And we're then following Sophie during her summer at this garden, where she's trying to unravel all the secrets that are hidden within. And while we're doing that, we're also having these great themes of grief and healing and moving on, while also kind of finding yourself again. And I thoroughly enjoyed how human Sophie is. I really enjoyed the harder themes that's being touched on very delicately, and I found that I just couldn't stop. I think I consumed a book within a few days, and it was really, really good. So yeah, The Someday Garden by Ashley Poston. I just realized that it would have been great to put decent order. Sammy, the only thing holding you up right now is my foot. If I were to move that, you would fall desperately to the ground. Then after, can you get your bum up? And after The Someday Garden, I read Dead Poets Society by N.H. Kleinbaum. And Dead Poet Society is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think Robin Williams is wonderful in it, and I really like the themes of growing up and seizing the day and finding out who you are and who you want to become. So I really enjoyed how those themes were also present in the book, because obviously it is. In Dead Poet Society, at a strict boarding school, an unconventional teacher inspires his students to embrace passion and poetry and individuality. And as they revive this secret club that the unconventional teacher used to be a part of, they explore their freedom and their defiance of expectations, and it all kind of leads to both powerful and tragic consequences. Now, I know that this is not a new book in any way, and most people have either seen the movie or read the book, but if you haven't done either, I strongly recommend picking up the book and watching the movie, because they're both really good. I gave it 4 stars. It lived up to my expectations. And I think there's something really impressive about the fact that N.H. Kleinbaum is a female writing about juvenile boys going through their journey into adulthood. So very well done. And after Dead Poet Society, we started our ACOTAR reread. I'm hosting a read along over on StoryGraph, where we have now read A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin, and we have started Throne of Glass. We're reading through the entire Massverse in anticipation of the next 2 books coming out. The first one coming out at the end of October, I think the 30th, and then the next one would be January 27, maybe. But yeah, so the reread, I did take it down 1 star. Originally, I think I gave it 5 stars the first time I read it. However, it's starting to rain. However, I don't necessarily think this book is 5-star material anymore. However, the nostalgia this brought me was fantastic, and I really enjoyed being able to see other people's comments in the read along on StoryGraph and to chat about like each chapter. So if you want to join us, you can still catch up, or you can just start throwing a glass with us. It is a lot of fun. But after killing a wolf, Feyre, our huntress, is taken to this magical Fey realm by a powerful immortal who's demanding retribution for her kill. And then as her hostility turns to love, she uncovers this growing darkness and she must risk everything to save this world. That's super bland. I think everyone knows this book, so I won't keep talking about it, but it was really fun revisiting it. And then I read On Wings of Blood. I am in the middle of filming a more in-depth reading vlog of this and 2 other books recommended by my book besties. So my bestie Amber recommended this and it slapped. Oh my gosh. We're following our half-Fae Medra Pendragon, and as she's dragged to the Bloodwing Academy where powerful vampires rule and the weak, the humans, are basically prey. She's then forced into this dangerous betrothal with her enemy, her ruthless enemy, Blake, and she must survive deadly trials, hidden secrets, and this growing power that seems to be inside of her. If you like Deadly Trials, if you like an academy setting, if you like vampires or ancient beings and mythology, this was fantastic. It is definitely enemies to lovers, and we have a little bit of a bullying romance going on as well, which I'm not necessarily a big fan of, but I thought it was done really well in this. And I am obsessed and I need 15 more of them. I cannot wait to pick up the rest of this series because, oh my god, was this amazing. I can't wait. And then I was so kindly sent this by Penguin Ireland, and it is the best read of the month for me. It's my top read of April, Whatever Happened to Madeline Stone by Louise O'Neill. So when the child star Madeline Stone vanished at the height of her twin sister Chelsea's fame, the mystery was never solved, so we don't know what actually happened to Madeline. 20 years later, there's new evidence that's forcing Chelsea back into the spotlight because she's taken a break from it, and she has to move into the past where she has to uncover the truth about what really happened to her sister. This is very naughty nostalgia. It's very honest and brutal about the world of Hollywood, but especially child stars in Hollywood. It was very reminiscent of the dark side of like Nickelodeon and all of that when that was unraveled, which I thought was scary how familiar it was. There's also so many like dramatic elements of this that was reminiscent of The Favourite by Lane Fargo and Daisy Jones and the Six and Evelyn Hugo, as well as I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. Is that what the title of that book is? Either way, if you're into Hollywood drama and the dark side of TV and media consumption and the portrayal of young women in general in the spotlight, this was fantastic. I ate it up in literally a day, and Louise O'Neill continues to prove that she is a literary mastermind who really can suck you in with the flick of a pen. So yes, absolutely. After Whatever Happened to Madeline Stone, I read The Wedding People by Alison Dispatch. This was also something I consumed in a matter of 24 hours. It was during the readathon that you've seen already. And My God, was this hilarious. 4.5 stars. I think I just needed a little bit more. But we are following Phoebe, who's she's arriving alone in this luxury inn that's also hosting a wedding. She's the only one there who's not there for the wedding, and instead she is quite literally there at her rock bottom, seeking one final escape. But as she's doing this, she finds an unexpected bond with the bride, and it changes the course of both of their lives, this friendship between them. And the way Phoebe is kind of just giving up. She gives absolutely zero fucks about the repercussions of her decisions, of her words, of her actions. And she just does whatever she wants because she's like, it doesn't matter, I'm gonna myself anyway. No, I can't say that. That's a spoiler. It's so humorous in such a dark way. I think this is a book that I will be rereading many, many times. We're in the perfect season of this, and if you're looking for a trashy comedy piece talking about sisterhood and friendship as well as the morality of life choices, this is excellent and you should pick it up. Then I read A Photo Finish by Elsie Silver, which is the second book in the Gold Rush Ranch series. We're following Violet Edens, which was really fun actually because he's the sister of the Eden, the only sister of the Eden family. So we read about all the brothers in Chestnut Springs. So to visit Violet and read her story was a lot of fun, and it was very nostalgic to hear about her and her brothers and her family and all of that. It made me miss them, and maybe I need to reread of Chestnut Springs soon. But we're following Violet, whose anonymous online past is starting to collide with her real life, and she finds herself living under the same roof as the former shoulder who's wanted her for years. So it's a lot about like brooding and yearning. There is this undeniable chemistry between them, and this chemistry is kind of melting. I've forgotten his name. Cole. The chemistry and Violet's personality is slowly melting Cole's walls, and he has a lot of scars and secrets that he's been hiding away that she's unraveling and figuring out together, and this man needs a lot of healing. There's so much trauma for this guy. I'm not a big fan of military romances in general. I don't know what it is, but I always disconnect when it comes to soldiers, and like especially soldiers with PTSD who's returned from the war, which is a shame because I do think they're there. There are so many unfortunate men and women who are suffering with PTSD from their services at war, and for whatever reason, I don't I don't connect with it, which does make me less keen to care for the main character. So while I loved Violet, I was very meh about Cole. And the second book is definitely not as good as the first book in the series, according to me. But the writing is Elsie Silver's. It's as cozy as ever, because if there's one thing Miss Silver does well, it's writing a romance book that will get you hooked and get through it within no time. So while it's not her strongest, I did still enjoy it, and I gave it 3.5 stars. Then I read Embrace by Belle Cabra. I also received this as an arc on NetGalley. I've definitely gone a bit mad with my arcs lately, but Embrace was the final book, the fourth book in the Dalton University series. We're following Scarlett and Kian. I love Kian. Kian Ishida is one of my favorite characters in this entire series, and I am so happy to finally get his book, and I adored Scarlett as well. We have our lovely hockey star Kian, who's joining a study group to finish his degree because that's the final wish of his father. And in the study group, he starts falling for the brilliant leader, Scarlett Kilner. And if you know this series, you know that Kilner is the name of Kian Ishida's trainer, Coach Kilner. And as they're studying and going through, as they make a deal to help each other out, and during this connection between them starts growing a lot, and it's kind of crossing these professional lines both in the study group but also with hockey, and they have to kind of choose between the futures they planned and the feelings that they're starting to have for each other. And I think I'm starting to grow up from hockey romances, at least the ones in university. But I did still really enjoy this. I think Bel Cabra has such a great way of writing funny, goofy romances that makes you giggle and kick your feet around. And this did not. This did not disappoint. It's not my favorite in the series overall, but it's up there. It's not my least favorite, at least. But I think it's hard. Collide will forever be my favorite. The first one in the series. I loved Collide. I loved, what's the other one? Spiral, I think. No, that's the second one. What's the third one? I read the third one on NetGalley as well, and I really liked that. Revolve. I loved Revolve as well. And Revolve and Embrace kind of happened at the same time, which was very fun to have the crossover between the books. So, highly recommend picking up the entire series if you haven't already. And after Embrace, I picked up Atomic Habits by James Clear. And let me tell you, I did not expect to actually find this helpful. Atomic Habits is a book that offers practical framework for building better habits, breaking harmful ones, and creating lasting change through the small daily actions. It's using psychology and real life examples, and it's showing how simple systems and not just motivation alone can lead to remarkable results over time. And reading this, I found things that actually really sat with me. For example, habit tracking. And it encouraged me to start. I have a journal now that I'm starting to do habit tracking and writing down my goals for each day, each week, but doing so in such detailed way that I know exactly what I have to do in order to achieve the goal that I want to get to. Because in the past, I've kind of said that I just like to get this, but never the steps that I need to take in order to achieve it. And doing that actually motivates me quite a lot, surprisingly. So I really resonated with this actually, and I must admit that for a self-help book, for a non-fiction book that I thought was probably going to be a bit of bullshit, I don't think it is anymore. So if you're looking for a guide, so to speak, on how to maybe kick yourself into a bit of gear to achieve the best version of yourself, I actually do recommend Atomic Habits. Surprise, surprise! And after that, we also finished A Court of Mist and Fury as a part of a read-along. Now, I'm not going to talk about read-along again, but A Court of Mist and Fury is the second book in the Akatar series, and this was 4.5 stars. I gave this 5 star last time, but there's things that I'm noticing that I'm not liking as much as that I was blinded by the story the first time around, where I'm still really enjoying the writing. Of course, it's still very nostalgic, it's really fun, and I do think the second book is better than the first book. I don't want to talk about it again in case there's anyone who has not read the series yet, but if you're looking for an easy fantasy to get kind of dip your toes into romantasy and fantasy in general, this series is really good for that. That's all I'm going to say. And after A Court of Mist and Fury, I read Fury Bound by Sable Sorensen. I still can't believe I got to read this a month before it was out. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I think this is even better than the first book. Oh my god. I love Marin. I love everything about her. I love the pacing. I love the world building. I love the writing. I love the characters. I love the plot. This is the most easy romantasy you'll ever pick up. It is fun, it is interesting, there's political intrigue, there's forbidden love, there's wolves, giant dire wolves, there's war, I shouldn't smile when I say war. But again, this is a sequel, it's not out yet, I don't want to say too much about it, but this is the sequel to Dire Bound, which we're following Marion as she is attending this. It's almost like an academy, learning how to become these soldiers who are bonded with these dire wolves. And if you've read the first book but you were not sure about whether or not to pick up the second book, do it. First off, you're wrong. Second of all, do it. I cannot recommend this enough, and I'm so excited for the rest of the world to pick this up. The 5th. Oh, tomorrow, actually. well, while this video is out, it will already have been published, but highly, highly recommend Furybound. Yeah! And thank you, Penguin Ireland, for sending me the arc of that book. Oh my god, you have my firstborn. Then I read Love Overboard by Candice Starner. In Love Overboard, we're following a reality TV yak stew who's forced to work alongside with the man who once broke her heart into tiny little bit of pieces. They're trapped at sea with cameras rolling. They have these old feelings starting to resurface, and there is so much tension that you could cut through it with a butter knife or even a spoon. All this delicious tension could definitely turn into a second chance if they let it, or they could let it all crash and burn all over again. If you like the TV show Below Deck, you will eat this up. This is drama, this is fast-paced, this is tension and conflicts, and there is nothing deep in it whatsoever, and it's fantastic. It is literally trash TV in a book. My only grievance with it, as you can see, Have
you ever had a dream that you had you?
The idea of it excited me so much, but unfortunately, the main male character was meant to be Irish from Dublin, I believe, and some of the sayings that he had and the comments he made and the words and references that was made to Ireland was so cliche and so over the top caricature of what an Irish person would sound like. And sure, they would say things like that once in a while, but there was also other bits that just took me out of the story because I was like, I've never heard anyone in my life say that, and I've lived in Ireland for nearly 8 years. No. Now, I don't live in Dublin, but I know enough Dublin's people to know that we don't talk like that. We, as if I'm from Dublin. So unfortunately, those things did kind of ruin it a little bit for me, but I do think that if you want drama, a high-paced, fun summer read, you should pick up Love Overboard. It was very good. Also read that on NetGalley. And after that, I read The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I adored this. This was actually really, really good. I never thought that I would find the Antichrist to be the cutest character ever, but I did. I love the Antichrist. We are following Linus, who is a very by-the-book caseworker who's sent to assess this remote orphanage that's filled with dangerous, magical children. But as he's growing closer to them and their enigmatic leader, or caretaker, he must choose between following the rules or protecting the found family he never expected to find. I loved Linus, and Arthur. I thought this book was so incredibly cute. And there were so many heartfelt moments just had me like giggle. And it was a warm hug in a book. It's gentle, it's comforting, and it's a read that kind of makes you look upon like society's opinions and norms and how it's so easy to judge something that you don't understand, but it's done in such a heart-warming way that you're kind of not really understanding the message that it's sending until you've like read it. I know there's a second book. I think I have the second book, so I'm looking forward to reading the sequel to this and go back to Linus and Arthur. But if you're looking for a great summer read, especially by the water, the ocean, I would recommend The House in the Cerulean Sea. Then I read A Fate Inked in Blood by Daniel L. Jensen. Now, I did talk a little bit more in depth about the next 3 books in my past reading blog, so we're going to breeze a little bit over this because I don't want this video to be another hour long. We're following Freya, who has divine magic and is forced into this dangerous political game where her power marks has the key to uniting this fractured kingdom. She's bound by oath and fate, and she must master her abilities and then survive brutal trials in order to complete the duty set upon her, so to speak. And I was very skeptical going into it, being Danish originally and knowing a lot. Can you stop licking your bumhole while I'm talking, please? And while I do love a fantasy, and I don't always mind too much when it's fantasy based on mythology, it was kind of hard to put myself into this as someone who's grown up with Norse mythology, right? But I thought this did a really good job at it. There's a few things that did take me out of the story where the details were a little bit. Overall, I thought this was really clever done, and it was very intriguing to read, and I will definitely be continuing it. I thought Daniel Jensen has a very interesting way of writing, and it was a little bit more complicated and not as easy to read, but still really enjoyable. There's a lot of focus on setting and characters and behavior and mannerisms overall than the overall plot, which I thought was interesting to see, and I did enjoy it. And now my friend Neve can finally get back her book, because I've borrowed this for like 4 months now and I've finished it, so she can get back now. Then I read Orbital by Samantha Harvey. This won the Booker Prize in 2024. Yeah, 2024. And we're following 6 astronauts and cosmonauts who is during a day as they're orbiting Earth. And there's a lot of reflections on human life and the presence and the importance of what they're doing, as well as like a lot of like atmospheric reflections on life and fragility, both in space and on Earth. And I did really admire the writing style, but this is so slow. I found it really difficult to read, actually, because it's 150 pages, 134 pages, and that shouldn't take me too long, but it did take me a full ass day to read, and that says a lot. But if you're looking for a book with a lot of reflections, this is probably for you. Technically, I did finish this on the 1st of May. However, we're gonna count it with this because the majority of it was read in April. But Shield of Sparrows, 5 fucking stars, lads. I know a lot of people kind of found this a bit meh and not going anywhere. I loved Odessa. I cannot tell you how much I loved Odessa, and we're following Odessa, who's very much a forgotten princess, who is now bound by duty and thrust into a dangerous alliance after a fateful betrayal ties her to a man who despises her. As monsters threaten the realm and war looms, she's defying expectations, he's claiming her power, and she's deciding basically who she wants to become. And lads, if there's something I love, it is a woman who has been constricted by men her whole life, breaking free of those constraints and finding out who she is and who she wants to become and what she can do, and unleashing the inner power of her. That is girlhood. That is literally just being a girl. And I fucking love it. Oh my god. I was so hooked with this. I loved the world in it. I loved the strong character growth. I loved this addictive slow burn romance. I swear, they didn't even fucking kiss until like the last 10% of the book. It was fantastic. Chef's kiss. Give me 15 more of them. I love the enemies to lovers dynamic. I love not knowing exactly who was the main character or who was the main love interest in the beginning. I was very confused about that. And I love the action in it. I love the fight scenes. I love the training scenes and the relationships that Odessa is gaining from different people from this new country and new people, new kingdom. And I know that the next book was just released, and I fear I'm going to need it ASAP because this was great. And that, as you can see, I had my journal here to help me with my notes. I quite literally read up from it a few times, but sorry, I'm a little bit scatterbrained lately as well. But that is the 16 books that I read, I think, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, 16 books I read in April. I don't know if I'm going to keep that up in May. However, I did really enjoy. I thought I had a fantastic month of reading. There's only a few books where I was a little bit meh about. But overall, very strong selection of books. I'm super excited to see where May is going to take me. I have another great amount of books lined up, and I'm quite literally about to start the entire Boys of Tommen series, so stay tuned about that vlog. But yeah, I would love to know what was your favorite read of April in the comments, if you have one, or which books you're hoping to pick up in May. Do let me know. If you like this video and this kind of content, it would mean the world to me if you wanted to like and maybe subscribe to my channel. I post here every Friday unless I quite literally am being prevented by the internet's gods. Because I was there last Friday. That's why my video was up late and it was posted on Sunday instead. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. You can follow me on all my social media. That's linked down below in the description. I have Instagram, TikTok, Goodreads and StoryGraph. I also am on Pagespal, so I would love to connect with you and yap more about books. I hope you have a great rest of your day, whether it's in the evening time or it's starting the day just now. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! God, do I yap too much or do I yap too much, Sue?